Hello and welcome to lesson 3 of week 5. In this lesson we're going to look at the different constraints that are commonly used in SQL. My name is Mildred. In the last lesson we looked at the different data types. I encourage you to go research more about MySQL data types and see when they are used and how they are used. We are going to continue with this table creation and we are going to look at the different constraints that we can have. Constraints are used to specify rules for the data in a table. When we have a column that must have a value, we use the constraint not null, written not null. Constraint usually comes after the data type. So we have a data type, for instance, of int, and then we say not null as a constraint. So we've enforced a rule that this column must always have a value before that row of data can be saved. We can define another constraint called unique, which means that no other row should have this value. If this value exists in another row, it will not accept this input because every ID must be unique. So in that particular column, you won't find duplicate values. So you have unique values in that column. We have something we call primary key, and the primary key is a combination of not null and unique. So it uniquely identifies each row in the table. We have foreign key, and the foreign key prevents actions that will destroy links between tables. We have check, and the check ensures that the value in a column satisfies a condition. Default, if you have a not null column, it's always better to specify a default value, and so when you say default, you put a value so that if no value is entered, that default is populated. Even if you have a column that accepts null values, you can also specify a default value. So if no value is specified, that default is inserted. We can use create index, which creates and receives data from the database very quickly. So research about constraints in MySQL and see how they are used. So we're going to create a table called users, and we're going to have different columns in this users table. So create table if not exists users. We want the first one to be user ID. We have something we call auto increment. When you want to insert value in a column and you don't want to always insert value there, you just want it to automatically increment. So this value is int, and I can specify auto increment. I can also say this is the primary key, and then I've specified the definition for that column. Then I want to put another column, let's say username. This username, I want it to be virtual, and I will put 255 since I don't know the length in advance. And then I want to say I don't want null values here, and also I want it to be unique. So there is a different way we can do this and specify the constraint, not like this, but at the end of the table. So we'll just do the table definition and then we'll have the constraints at the end. But this is the basic way of creating tables. So let's say we want to have something like an address. Now we can say we want to use text because it might be longer than a virtual. We want to be on the safe side and not run out of characters when the user specify address. So we'll say text, and if an address is not entered, we can say we want a default value of address to be any value. So you can put default value, we can put the address of the school. So this is basically how we create the table. Take note that the last column, you don't put a comma before you close your parentheses and specify the engine, and the engine is equal to the name of the storage engine that you want to specify. So let's run this to see if we get this created. So all is well, it is created. If we refresh here and we'll look at table, we're going to get our users table. And we can come here and now say show tables, and then we'll get the table we have here, which is users. We can say select all from users, and then we can see that there is no data here. So we can go ahead to start inserting records into this users table. This is where we end this lesson. Thank you and see you next week.